Hello and welcome to another installment of Slammin Synapses. My name is Albert Gurrier. If you're viewing me through YouTube, you see the subscribe button up here. Click on that, keep up to date with the videos ongoing. So if you want to drop me a comment, you see a box below. If you have a phone, there's ways of doing that there too, so take advantage of those. This segment is going to be submitted for possible inclusion to the PW Insider family of websites. That's pwinsider.com, pwinsiderelite.com, and pwinsiderextra.com. You can also follow them at Twitter at pwinsider.com or on Facebook at PW Insider. So by all means, as I mentioned many times before, the Elite site is a great site to go to. Lots of great audio, lots of great video. You won't be disappointed, so by all means, go check it out. Segment this week. When I was doing research for a segment that I did a long time ago called Barry Windham Joins the Four Horsemen, my most well-watched segment that I've done to date, I started watching NWA World Wide from 1988. Now, as I'm starting to get to November, early part of December, I'm realizing that this was the year that JCP, Jim Crockett Promotions, would kind of go bye-bye when it comes to worldwide wrestling. They would sell off their interest and just not be part of it anymore. Now, if you go back and you watch wrestling, you saw there would be some sort of consistent flow. But around this time, they brought in a lot of new people. People like Ron Simmons, people like Steve Williams, people like Eddie Gilbert. Most of the people that were leaving UWF came over. And if you watch the shows, you really wouldn't even think about UWF. But they would come over and they would just make their mark. And it's like back at that time, and I know I've done a segment about NWA Worldwide before, but NWA Worldwide was a very serious promotion. They took everything seriously. They treated it with the respect that it needed. Not everything had to be, I mean, they did have some comedy moments, but that was very rare because they treated it with the respect that it deserved instead of trying to find humor and everything and trying to find a happy ending, because there were some days that you just did not have a happy ending. You just not have a happy ending. That's made you watch the show. I mean, it's like, okay, there wasn't an ending. There was still some sort of conflict that had to be resolved. There was some sort of fight that had yet to be fought. There was some sort of battle that had yet to be won, and that was the beauty of it. But yeah, to watch NWA '88 from that time, it really makes me miss those days. Makes me miss the days when things were real. Things were real, things were serious, things were meant to happen. So, can that happen again? I've asked this question many times before, but can that happen again? Where wrestling is taken seriously and people that watch it are treated with respect that they deserve. Who knows? I can only hope. So, because you look at WWE nowadays, it's like they try to be funny too much. They try to go for things that, some things just don't lend themselves to, but they try to force it anyway. So, I don't know. I don't have an answer. Till then, I guess I will be watching YouTube for a lot of old wrestling that I will probably never ever see again. Well, at least not through YouTube or what's going on in the wrestling world today. So, it's my only hope. You never know. Things are circular. Goes around, comes around. So, maybe it'll come around again. Next topic. Next inductee to my Hall of Fame. Next time I do a segment, you'll be surprised at who I'm going to put in, but probably not. Well deserved. But hell, let's do them both today. First entry. He was the one who was responsible for bringing a new federation to birth. Well, storyline-wise, I guess real-life-wise, and he was pretty much the main point of, in my opinion, the best storyline federation takeover stories of all time. That's when USWA came into being and World Class went bye-bye. That man is Eric Embry. Eric Embry was part of a tag team with Ken Timms. he held many titles, and it's like he knew how to sell. He knew how to get the crowd eating out of his palm of his hands, but he also knew how to be a very, very mean heel. So, and I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. I mean, if you were to mention Eric Embry to anyone nowadays, they would look at you and wonder, Eric who? Now, most old school fans would know the name and say, oh, Eric Embry, yeah, I remember him. He was a person that held this title or was responsible for this, that, and the other. And like I said, nowadays we forget that history. We forget what history's brought us. So, but to me, Eric Embry deserves a spot in my Hall of Fame. Next inductees, a family, father, his two sons. Father ran his own wrestling federation, International Championship Wrestling. One of his sons would be very well known for his pros, and his other son would go on to hold world titles, would go on to hold quite a few titles, and be embroiled in some of the best well-known feuds of all time. My next entries into my Hall of Fame are Angelo, Lanny, and Randy, otherwise known as the Poffos. Now, Poffos were definitely one of the families in the sport, along with people like the Von Erichs, along with people like the Freebirds, even though they weren't actually related. They were a true definition of a family. The Mulligans, but who could ever forget the Poffos? Randy Savage with his psycho attitude, Lanny with his poems that wax poetic, no pun intended, and Angelo, who pretty much showed you what a patriarch was in life and in the sport. So it's without any hesitation that in my Hall of Fame, I'm inducting the Poffos. So today we've inducted Eric Embry and the Poffo family. Like with anything that I've talked about, I could go on forever and a day in terms of history, in terms of this, in terms of that, in terms of whatever. But we only have 10 minutes. That's how long the recorder on this holds film for, but holds video for. But yeah, I could go on and on about Randy and Lanny and Angelo. I could go on and on about Eric. I could all go on and on about NWA World Wide. But that's what future segments are possibilities for. So, do want to thank you for joining me. If you want to drop me a segment, if you want to drop me an email, you can do so at agurrier@yahoo.com. You can follow me on Facebook at Albert Gurrier. You could also like my Facebook page, Slammin Synapses. You could also follow me on Twitter at Slammin Synapses as well. No G for both. So until next time, I do want to thank you for your attention. See you next week, or see you next time. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. For Albert Gurrier, this is Slammin Synapses saying goodbye, everybody.